Hey friends, happy Thursday and welcome to another live stream. Simon Hurley here, and I am so excited to sit down and do some live crafting with you. It's been a little while since I've gone live, so I thought I would stop by and share some interactive greeting cards with you that are very easy to do with just like one product, and you can make some cards that spin really beautifully. It's a fun effect to put on your cards, and I'm excited to share it with you in today's live stream. Now, before we get fully into it, I wanted to, at the top of the show, run over a couple of different freebies and deals that are going on right now. It's always good to share these with you guys before they run out, so you can check them out in case you're interested. So let me turn on my work surface and talk to you about some of the deals going on. So first off, we have a deal at Spellbinders, and all of these deals are going to be linked down below at the top of the description box. But basically, if you spend $150 over at the Spellbinders website, they are giving you this for free. All you need to do is type in code SIMONBIRTHDAY, all one word at checkout, and this Mylar Balloons Die Set, which is originally, I think, $25, is going to appear in your cart, and it should be free. So if it's showing in your cart and it's showing as free with code SIMONBIRTHDAY, all one word, then you know you're good to go and you can check out. So that is the Mylar Balloons Die Set. This one is amazing. This deal is only lasting until Friday at midnight. So definitely check this out over the next day or so if you want to take advantage of that deal. Huge thanks to the Spellbinders team for giving you guys this as a freebie. I love when they do that so that it makes it a little bit easier to spend for you guys, but then you're also getting the free gift. So it like makes it like you're spending less money, right? That's my math, at least when I'm spending money. If I see something that I'm getting for free, then the $20 that I spent, of course, gets taken off of the deal. So really, I only spent $100. That's how I think about it. Okay, so then over at Brutus Monroe, I love this cardstock. This is the Chromatic Reserve Platinum Chunky Glitterstock. If you spend $25 or more over there, there's no coupon code. You just have to use my link down below to head to Brutus Monroe, and you can get this for free. It should show up in your cart. So again, if it's showing up in your cart when you check out, that's how you know you got the free gift. So this is $25 or more, I believe. So check that out. I'm going to use this later in today's live too. Really fun glitter cardstock and a really easy limit to reach for crafty supplies. So that is awesome. Now, I also wanted to let you know that right now at scrapbook.com, if you use the code SMILE at checkout, I think it's an extra 11% off of your purchase. So that is awesome as well. Now, many of you know I also had a launch last week, and you guys have been showing that so much love and support. So I want to give you a huge thank you. Thank you for all of the support you've been showing, the new tools, and also all the stamps and stencils from that launch. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update as well, because I know many of you guys were looking into the clear foam tape, which just launched. And let me tell you, you guys are showing this so much love. It's a magical product, but sometimes I don't know necessarily if you're gonna love everything. You guys are loving this. So this has been going kind of in and out of stock over the last couple of days. We're not playing games or playing tricks with you guys. Basically, there's a big machine that they take all the product from the warehouse and they load a couple into however many they think you're gonna purchase, because they can't have everything in the machine at once, but it makes it more efficient to pack all of your orders, right? So once that machine is out, it shows as sold out on the website. So if it's been in and out of stock, that's why we're not trying to like make it seem like it's more scarce than it is to play with you guys. But we have loaded in the final stock that we have into that machine. So there's a couple hundred left on that website, but trust me, they are going fast. I expect them to be gone within probably the next day or so. And then it'll take us a little bit of time to get them back in stock, but they should be back within the next month or so, hopefully. I'm really hoping. There's a lot of different things kind of affecting the variables right now. But if you've wanted this foam tape and it's been showing us sold out for you, check out the Ranger website right now. It is back in stock at Ranger for the time being in this live stream. This clear foam tape is absolutely amazing. I've already been going through several rolls of it, just because you can put it underneath your images, and when you look on the side angle, you don't see the foam tape really. So it's amazing. It kind of blends into your card backgrounds, which is awesome. So I'm going to be using this again later in today's live stream, but wanted to let you know we put the final stock of it in stock, and it should be back after this sells out in a month or so. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk about the blending brushes. These are at Ranger right now, and Ranger is running an awesome discount for both these small brushes and also the medium ink blending brushes, where if you buy 10 of the brushes, they have a bundle that's buy 10, get 2 brushes free. So that is absolutely awesome. You're getting a great discount when you do the bundle deal. So I'm really glad that Ranger has that going on, because I like to do brushes for each color family. So I have even more than 12 here, but you could do 12 and just kind of split it up with Roy G. Biv. But basically, this allows you to switch between the colors without having to wash it in between hand. So I love that. Those were out of stock too right before the live, and my boss was so awesome and restocked them for you guys. So that bundle is back in stock. If you were looking at that, the small ink blending brush bundle and the medium ink blending brush bundle should be back in stock, so that you can stock up on those and get a little bit of a discount with that as well. So those are the deals. I hope you guys take advantage of those while they last. It should go, I think the Brutus Monroe goes one until Saturday. The Spellbinders goes until Friday, so take advantage of those deals while you can. All right, let's jump into crafting. Sorry for overloading you with information at the beginning of the live, but it's always good to tell you these things so that you don't miss them or miss it in a different video and then kind of, want to shop but end up missing out on that deal. All right. Let's turn on my work surface and get into the first card. I have some great ideas for today's stream. So starting off, I've already prepped this one, and you can't really see it, but I've stamped down my background stamp. This is the Faded Diamonds background stamp, and this one is really awesome. It's made up of a bunch of tiny little dots, and they are more condensed at kind of the edges, and they go into the center, and there's less dots in the center so that it looks kind of really awesome and shaded when you stamp it out. So I've already heat embossed this with clear heat embossing powder on my white cardstock. So we have a card panel that looks like this. Now I'm gonna show you how to do some creative masking with a technique like this. So we're gonna take another piece of my Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock, and I'm just gonna go in with whatever color Stellar ink that I want. This doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna go in with the Black Widow Stellar ink because it's gonna give me a nice jet black image. I'm gonna ink it up with light taps, and I'm just gonna go in and stamp this down. I'm gonna stamp it so that at least one of the diamonds is kind of right in the center of our cardstock. It doesn't need to be perfect, just stamping that down. All right, just like that, that is absolutely perfect. But look at that Stellar ink. I mean, isn't that amazing? And this stamp is so cool when you stamp it down. It amazes me how much detail that they can get in these red rubber stamps. It is so awesome. And it's so cool because you stamp it with just one color and it looks so shaded and detailed, which is amazing. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of water and wipe off my Stellar ink. Now the awesome part about these ink pads is they are water-based, and they, for the most part, don't really stain, especially if you clean them off right away. So it's not gonna stain as much as other ink pads. And I love that because even though it doesn't stain, check out the amazing stamped impression you get with it. And that is like no effort, right? Okay, so now let me go in and show you this fun creative masking technique. I'm gonna go in with a large scissors, and I'm going to make one trail, okay, just one simple trail, right into the center of that image, just like that. Then once I've done that, I'm gonna go in and cut right around this diamond. So I'm gonna go in, trim this down to up to that edge. Then we'll go around and we're really cleanly cutting this out because we're gonna wanna use the border. Okay, so be clean about it. Otherwise it'd be like rough and going around the edges and kind of ripping the cardstock. But here we wanna make sure to keep that window nice and clean because we're gonna use that as a mask. Okay, so just one stroke all throughout, and then go on this side and trim that down. And then meet at the other side, and it should make this fun diamond shape, okay? So here's how we got it cut out. We cut out that diamond. Now in this diamond pattern, there's a little bit of a border around each one of the diamonds. So I left that border in there. You could cut closer to the edge if you wanted to, but it should look something like this, okay? That's how we make our mask for our image. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna make sure that this ink is nice and heat set. So I'm just gonna go in with a heat tool. My inks dry pretty quickly, but the Stellar inks are juicy. I just re-inked that black pad, so I wanted to make sure it was completely set in place before we do our stenciling with our colors. Then I'm gonna go in with a little bit of mint tape, and I'm just going to take this on the back side and tape it kind of close to that edge there. And then I'll tape it on the outside edge too, just to hold this together, because it's gonna be my stencil or mask for my background, okay? So just tape it like that, and now it's all together, nice and sturdy, and it's gonna create a mask. To do my ink blending, I'm gonna go in with my Altenew sticky mat. I love this Altenew sticky mat. It is their large grid mat, so it's 9 by 12, and it's photopolymer, so it's going to hold on to all of our cardstock, our stencils, our masks, and our inks while we're blending. So it's really awesome. I'm going to take our background that we've already clear heat embossed and stamped, and I'm going to place that right onto my sticky mat to hold it in place while we do our stenciling. Then we're going to go in with our mask, and we're just going to lay it right over the image, just like this. And because it's clear, it's kind of hard to see at first, but don't worry, I can kind of still see it in person more than you guys can see it on camera. And then we're gonna go in and do some ink blending. Now I'm gonna do kind of a really rainbow colored background. So I'm gonna go in with my small ink blending brushes. This is where the small ink blending brushes really come in handy and they really shine. And let me show you why. So I'm gonna start off with a little bit of bee sting. I'm gonna go in with my red blending brush, and I'm gonna ink it up. And these ones have a 1-inch diameter to them. It's the same size handle as the medium blending brushes because I didn't want to shrink down the handle. I wanted you guys to still have all that amazing comfort. I find that sometimes when people are designing a smaller tool, they're like, okay, we're gonna shrink down everything. But I wanted this handle to stay exactly the same so that it's still very comfortable. If you have problems with your wrists or hands and you still need it to be ergonomic, this brush is for you for sure. So it's definitely still great for details. So we can go in and color these areas in. And now look, okay, now you can see that stamping comes to life as we go in and blend it out, okay? So I'm gonna do a soft blend of that bee sting over the whole image at first. Then I'm gonna go in with my bee sting ink a little bit heavier handed, and I'm gonna bring it in from each edge. So from this edge, it's gonna be a little bit darker, and same thing from this edge, it'll be a little bit darker. And again, since we have these small brushes, we have the control to make it darker on one end than the other, whereas if we had a larger brush, it would be more difficult to do. Then I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna take my cloth and just wipe this off because that embossing resists any ink now. So you can easily wipe it off and it's gonna go right back to that white color. And the awesome part about it being white then is that area where it's got that shading is gonna kind of blend into the background and add some kind of natural depth and dimension to it. Isn't that super cool? I love it. Okay, so then let's move over. Let's do this square right here. And we're gonna leave a little bit of a border around these and go in with this next. And hopefully I'm kind of lining it up well. It's, again, hard to see the lines as much. If you wanted to do a darker stamping or like a gold embossing, you totally could as well. I'm gonna go in with the Prom Queen blending brush. For some of the colors specifically, I gave them their own blending brushes because I love the color so much. And like Prom Queen is one of my favorites, so I gave it its own blending brush. And again, you can go in with a light hand on most of it, and then a darker hand around the edges. Cool, and then I'll wipe this off. And we're just gonna follow along and do kind of a rainbow colored look all around the card. And look, I leave that little white border in there. It's a fun and playful stamp, so it doesn't need to be perfect, but it is a really cool look that it gives then. Okay, so then we'll go in and do this one next. We'll line it up, just like that. And then let's see, what color should we do over here? I'm thinking maybe Stupid Cupid. I've been loving this Stupid Cupid color lately. It is a really great one. Stupid Cupid is kind of like a salmon-y, pinky color. It's absolutely beautiful. And we'll just go in on each edge then and darken it up with the small blending brush. I'm telling you, these are game-changing. I have had the small blending brush ever since we designed the large one, and I've been dying to use it ever since we created it. So I'm so glad it's finally out so that I can share it with you guys. Oh my gosh. See, look how cool this is. And then let's go up here and let's do a little bit more color. What should we do? Should we do a darker red? Let's do a little bit of Love Bomb up here. And we'll do kind of a lighter hand across the whole thing and then make one edge darker, like the others. Wipe that off. So it's a little bit more of a time-consuming technique, but this is gonna be for a card for someone who is really special in your life, who you wanna take a little bit of extra time to create this really cool colored panel look. But I wanted to show this because I thought this, I saw this stamp and I was like, I need to do this technique. It's gonna be so much fun with these inks to do kind of a rainbow card like this and blend colors throughout by masking the rectangles off. So we'll blend a little bit of darker color on one edge, wipe it off, Is this not so fun? I love that. Okay, then we're gonna bring in an orange right here. Or actually, let's start moving into the yellows because we want to do a little bit of like green and blue too, I think. Just like that. And let's do like a yellow right here. And for the yellow, I'm gonna use a little bit of Slippery and Wet. We'll do a little bit of light yellow all the way across. What I love about these blending brushes too is with the handle at the top, you get to do kind of a lot of control with it rather than the handle being at the side of the brush, okay? So the handle being at the top means that if you press down harder, you're gonna get a lot more ink. Whereas sometimes the blending brushes with the handles to the side, it's hard to press down more because the handle's kind of bending and stuff. Whereas this, you have so much control, which is awesome. Okay, so let's wipe it off. Then we'll move over, line it up with the edges. And then we'll go in with, let's do a little bit of green here. So for the green, I'm gonna do a little bit of Later Gator. I'm gonna lightly go in on the center to do a really light blend of green. And again, we get that control. Like look, Later Gator is a much darker color than I'm originally blending it with, but because I'm going so light-handed at first, it allows me to, and then look, we can go in and go way darker at the edges to get a much richer color there. Awesome. That is looking great. That moved on me. Hopefully it didn't smudge anything. We're gonna line it back up to wipe it. And I'm wiping it with the mask still in place because if you wipe it without the mask in place, you're gonna wipe that all over your white cardstock. So you wanna wipe it still with that mask in place and you'll get a great result then. Okay. Now let's go in and do, let's do a little bit of High Tide here. I think, yeah, High Tide is one of my favorite colors, to be honest. And it's kind of like a pool color, and it's got a little bit of like green to it. It's really beautiful. So it'll blend well with that green. And then if you go really dark-handed with it, look, it can give you a much darker look. Okay, look at that. I mean, this is so fun. It's such a fun and easy technique, and honestly, it's kind of relaxing and therapeutic to do it too, because you just get to go in and remask and blend. It's like a process you don't have to think too much about as you're creating with it, and it just creates such a stunning, stunning card in the end. Okay, with Clear Skies, again, I'm going pretty light-handed at first. And then we'll bring in more color at the edges here. Love that. Okay. Then we'll wipe that off. So fun. So yes, this live is gonna be all about that interactive technique, but I couldn't help but incorporate this fun technique too. So hopefully you guys like when I kind of share a couple different techniques in one live, because this is very fun to do. I'm gonna bring in a color that we haven't launched yet, but if you're part of the SCT class that's going on right now, you'll know that it's in there. And this is coming in the next launch of 12 ink colors. And you know what, guys? I've shared this one so many times with you already because I'm dying for it to launch. So it is such a good, like, mermaid kind of color. And if you know what it is, don't be saying the name in the chat. But there's a sneak peek at a future color that's coming. It works really well, I think, with Clear Skies, because they both got that kind of teal look to them. Love it. Okay, then we'll move on down, and let's do some of this. This is Loch Ness. I love Loch Ness. It is a great color, and it's a much darker aqua color. And it's got like a little bit of like, it's got more blue to it, but it's got like a little bit of a greeny hue. So Midnight Snack is much more of like a navy color, whereas this is more of like a midnight green almost. It's really pretty. Loch Ness is one of my favorites from the line. Like, how cool is that? Okay, then we will go in next to it and incorporate, what should we do next? Let's do a little bit of Midnight Snack, maybe. Okay. And we'll come in pretty light. You can see Midnight Snack is much more of a bluey purple kind of color, much more of a real true navy. I hope you guys still enjoy this when I'm just blending like this, but it is a good way to see all these colors in action. So if you've been looking at the inks and you've been like wondering about specific colors, hopefully this is helpful to see. That is so pretty. Oh my gosh. I'm loving this like rainbow effect down the card. And let's say you don't like these white borders. You could have cut the mask bigger and you wouldn't have the borders then. Okay, so you could totally skip that if you want to, but I kind of liked the borders. They seemed playful and fun to do for me, and they're not perfect as I'm lining it up, but I still think it's super fun. Okay, what should we do in this corner? Let's do a little bit of Crown Me, because that's still like a blue purple. Crown Me is a good one, I love it. So Crown Me will go down here, and then let's do some of the warm toned purples down below it. So we will do this kind of lilac color, which is Pompous. Pompous is a good one. When you leave it really light, it's kind of very lilac-y, but you could build it up and make it a lot darker too, just like that. And it's kind of goes along with a little bit of Crown Me, because it's kind of that twin where it's a little bit more blue purple. And then we'll go down into here and we will finish it off with a little bit of 100% juice. And I mean, come on, that one is gorgeous. That one is amazing. Okay. How cool is that? I'm in love with this look. It's almost like a quilted kind of design. I think it's so fun, right? Fun and easy to do. It almost even looks like scales of like an animal with all that dot texture. I think it's very fun. So if you have that faded diamond stamp, this is a fun technique that you could do with it. And again, if you don't love that playful white border, cut the mask a little bit bigger. But really fun because you can also do this with stencils too. So if you want like certain portions of stencils to stencil by themselves in different colors, you could go in and stencil that, cut out the mask, and then go around the stencil and do a very similar look with it. If you want a whole video on this, I totally can with different products because I think it's such a fun technique to be doing. Okay, now let's go in and finish this off with a fun spinner on it. And we're gonna go in and do some stamping using the Blooming Butterflies stamp set, because I thought that would be a fun focal point to create the spinner for this really colorful card. So we'll go into here and let's choose, should we do this butterfly right here? Or we could do this larger butterfly as well. The large one could be kind of fun. Let's do the large one, why not? I haven't used that one yet. Okay, so to do this, we're gonna pull this guy out, and each one of these images also has the floral images that you can stamp right inside of that image to color it in, okay? So we're gonna use both of these really easily. So for the stamping, I'm gonna put this one onto an acrylic block just because I wanna show you just how beautifully this stamps. All we need to do is grab a little bit of jet black, or sorry, not jet black, Black Widow. This is my Stellar ink, and this is like a jet black color, okay? This is a super intense black. And if you struggle with getting really clean and clear stamped images, I wanted to show this with an acrylic block because I'm that confident in this ink. So if this doesn't stamp perfect, I'm making a fool of myself here, but I'm confident it will. I mean, look at that. Every single time without fail, stamps beautifully like this. And if it doesn't stamp like this, you know it's time to re-ink. So these do, you can buy them with re-inkers. I would recommend it because the foam pad gives off more ink usually. But this new foam pad version of it, you just do light taps over top of the image and it stamps beautiful and crisp every single time. I love that Stellar ink. That Black Widow color is a must-have if any of the colors of the line. And then of course, again, like I mentioned, if you clean right away with them, they usually don't stain too badly. Like, look at this. I find that they stain a little bit more if you leave them on your stamp and then clean it after a time. But if you usually clean it right away, they don't stain at all. And I always look for a black ink that doesn't stain because I want my stamps to stay pretty see-through. So this is great for that. All right, then let's go in with a stamping tool. I'm just gonna bring in my Stamp Wheel 2.0. because I want to show you a fun way to do some coloring on these wings. So we're going to pull in the Stamp Wheel 2.0, line it up in the corner here, and we'll grab this floral stamp image and just line it up with the flowers. It's pretty easy to do. And this is great if you struggle with lining up these images. Having a stamp wheel or a MISTI stamping platform is going to be a great way for you to line these images up. So pick that stamp up easily. And then here, I wanted to do some stamp shading. So for this, we're going to ink up the image with a couple different colors. Since we did such a rainbow on the background, we want to do kind of a rainbow of colors on here as well. So I think for this, I'm going to do a little bit of, let's do some Stupid Cupid right in the center. So I'm just going to tap on a little bit of that ink, and we're kind of just using the edge of our ink pad here. And then with that, I'm going to wipe off some that I got too far into the wings. And then I'm going to go in with my small blending brush. This is what those are for. And I'm just going to go in and tap this just like that to blend out the color a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to stamp it right down into those wings. I love using those small blending brushes to soften the color, the edge of that blend. Okay. So it looks something like that. Now, the reason why I have it in the stamping tool too is so I can do several colors at once, which is awesome. So next I'm going to go in and we will do, let's do a little bit of yellow. So we'll do a little bit of Slippery When Wet. And I'm going to stamp that right down, kind of using the edge of the ink pad again, more into the center of those wings. And then again, we'll wipe off some of that got a little bit too far on the inside and the outside of the wings. And then we will also go in with our small ink blending brushes and just blot the edges. And those bristles are going to kind of blend that color and fade it out a little bit, okay? So we'll flip this to the other side so you guys can see. And we'll stamp it right down onto our card. Beautiful. Oh, I love that. This almost looks like a monarch. I wanted to do a butterfly in black like this. I didn't do it on any of the samples, and I'm just in love. The colors really pop off the black wings super beautifully. Okay, then we'll go in and let's do maybe a green. Should we do a green for the outside of the wings? Or is that gonna be weird? I'm gonna do a green. Why not? Why not, right? We're gonna go in with a little bit of Later Gator and we're just gonna touch it along the outside edge of that color. I'm gonna wipe off a little bit more of this just because I want it just at the outside edge. And then again, blend it with the blending brush. You guys, I'm so excited to stamp this down and finish it off. Then it'll look like flowers and leaves with that green. Let's see. Ooh, that's pretty. I really like that. And it's going to be sitting kind of on that center green area, so that'll be really great. I think that color combo is awesome. So again, if you think that you would struggle to layer this up or you want a really good color blend like I just did there, definitely try using a stamping platform or a stamping tool to do the layering. It's a really cool way to add colors to the center areas of those florals inside the butterfly wings. Okay, I know I'm obsessed with those butterflies. The Blooming Butterfly set is amazing. It's got different butterfly and dragonfly images all throughout the set, and they create these really stunning, super detailed lino cut looking butterflies that you can then color in on the wings using the stamps. I'm gonna cut this out loosely with my scissors, and then there's also a die set that's available. I don't know, this die set might be sold out, but definitely sign up for notifications on both the Ranger and scrapbook.com sites so that you can be notified for when these come back in stock, because they cut out the butterflies beautifully and super easily. So I'm just gonna put this right over top of the butterfly. We will line it up with an even white border all the way around the image. And then we will put it through our die cutting machine to cut it out. So I'll just go in here and die cut this guy right out. Awesome. And when this is cut out, it cuts out absolutely beautifully. And look at that. Super simple, stunning look for that butterfly there. And we will use one of the sentiments from this set. What should I do? Should I just do fluttering by to say hi? I think that's gonna be awesome because this butterfly is going to be spinning. So I think that'll be a fun sentiment to use. And I love the font that's in the set. It's kind of fun and playful, matches the style of these butterflies nicely. And for this, I'm gonna again use a little bit of that Stellar ink in the Black Widow color. It taps with that foam ink pad to ink it up. And then we'll stamp it right down onto our cardstock. Oh, look at that. Check that out. I love it. Okay, then let's go in and just fussy cut this out. There aren't sentiment dies for this one. We sometimes include the sentiment dies, but we sometimes don't. Let me let you in on a little behind the scenes secret. So the die sets, whenever we create them, there is a certain kind of price that you get for a rectangle of the metal. And so if we can fit the sentiments inside of the images, we usually give you guys the sentiments because we don't want to hike up the price of the set a ton, right? By adding a ton of little sentiments. So if there's sentiments in the set, it usually meant there was space and it wasn't gonna really hike up the price for you. We're always watching out for you guys, and like I always especially am, and I'm just trying to make sure that the sets are reasonably priced. And sometimes we're allowed to put the sentiments in and sometimes we aren't. So for this set, I didn't, but it seemed easy enough to me to cut these out. So that's why sometimes there are and sometimes there aren't. But very easy sentiments to cut out. They're quite large, so I liked just not having them in that set. Now let's put this card together. It's gonna be pretty easy to do. Should we chop off a little bit? I'm gonna chop off a little bit of color. And one of my recent obsessions has been using this decal trimmer from Tim Holtz. I don't know why, it just adds a little bit of texture to the edge of your card. It's just a fun, easy little gadget to have. So I'm gonna trim off just a little bit of color on either side. And the cool part about this decal trimmer is the decal is different all the way across. It's not like the decal scissors that you're used to where the decal is so consistent throughout the edge and it just, you know, looks really cleanly decaled. This gives you that kind of distressed look, which I think is kind of fun for a trimmer like this. So that's been one of my little obsessions, is an easy decaled edge. I'll have that linked down below after the live. I didn't include that, but I will afterwards because it is really a fun little gadget to have. Then for the card base, we're gonna bring in one of my Simon Hurley Stark White card bases. This is the top folding kind. And these come pre-cut and pre-scored. So all you need to do is just fold it down. And I just like to go in with a Teflon bone folder to reinforce that fold really easily, but check that out. Very easily folded, and I love that we don't have to take too much time out of our crafting to get that done. Then we're gonna go in with a little bit of tape runner, and I'm going to run that tape along the background there. And then we will adhere this right down. And because it touches the top and bottom of the card, I like to line it up with that top fold with a nice even border on either side of it. And that should line it up with the rest of the card. So then I kind of gently guide it down, make sure that it's gonna line up. And then once it is, then I place it down more firmly like this. I always start at that top fold. That way, if I need to cut anything off, I can do it from the bottom edge or the sides, but you can't really cut from the fold. So that's why I always line it up like that. Okay, then for the sentiment, let's go in and add it down with that clear foam tape. And you guys, I'm telling you, I've already gone through like 3 or 4 rolls of this stuff, so stock up while you can. It's an awesome foam tape to have. And I find that these Spellbinders shears or any non-stick scissors that you have are really great. It cuts pretty easily, especially with the non-stick shears. I've done it with other scissors too. It's not too bad, but you might gunk up your scissors a little bit and have to clean them. So a non-stick one is perfect. And then once I've peeled off the backing, I'm going to go in and I'm going to adhere this sentiment right down onto the card, just like that. And then look at that. It almost blends in with the background. It's like an amazing foam tape because it's not like a white blob underneath your sentiment. And also, like I showed in my release video, you can adhere down some things that are actually clear, like acetate, which is awesome. So then you won't be able to see that underneath. It's almost like magic. It's really, really cool. So then we want something that's going to make this card spin. So I purchased these little spinners from scrapbook.com. Let me show you them. They are these little metal spinners, just like this. They got 2 pieces of metal on them so that they can spin on your card. So let me show you this. All you need to do to adhere this down is first take a little bit of liquid glue. I'm going to add some liquid glue to the top of this. And we're going to add this right down to the center of our card. I'm going to add it right about there. And then we'll just wait for it to dry. So I just hold it down for a second, wait for that to dry. And then once that's pretty dry, we're gonna go in with a little bit more liquid glue at the top, just like that. Okay, and then we'll bring in our butterfly and place that right on top. Just like this. So just hold it down with your finger in place while it's drying. And then once that's done, oh my gosh, look at that. How fun is that? Now I know that a butterfly wouldn't usually fly like this, right? Maybe you could put it on an action wobbler if you want to, but I just think these cards are so fun. Like, why not? It's a card, why not make a butterfly fly in like a little teacup at Disney World, right? But I just thought this was so fun and adorable. And if you're not like actually hitting it and you're just moving the card around, it kind of just wiggles like this, which I think is so adorable. But how fun is that? So these little spinners are called Nano spinners. I have them linked down below and they're available at scrapbook.com. And that little piece of metal on there, it's pretty thin, so maybe you could still mail it with a little bit of extra postage, but it's just such a fun, interactive way to get a little bit of movement on your card, and it's so, so easy. It's just like an action wobbler where it just takes a little product to make your card have that interactive piece, and it doesn't take much thinking or much kind of crazy work to get that really fun interactive effect. So this card was so much fun using that faded diamonds background stamp and doing a little bit of fun masking to do this really cool rainbow colored blended card, and then using our new blooming butterflies stamp set to get that really awesome butterfly that has that really great kind of fade inside of it with a bunch of colors using the inside piece of that stamp. Such a fun and easy card to create. Okay, next let's go in and let's use our Mylar Balloons Die Set to create another card. Okay, let me quickly show you this again. So we talked about this at the top of the live stream, but if you weren't here, this die set is free within a $150 purchase at Spellbinders right now. Until end of Friday night, it's going to be free with that $150 purchase. So use the link down below, and there's a coupon code Simon Birthday, all one word that you use at checkout, and this Mylar balloon set should appear in your cart for free. If it's there, then you know you got the free gift and you're able to check out at Spellbinders, okay? So this die set's awesome. It has different balloons and it has 2 different layers for each one. So it's gonna create a really great realistic looking Mylar balloon. And I'm gonna show you that during today's card. So we're gonna go in. I've already got these cut down and ready, which is awesome. And I'm gonna show you how easy it is to do this. So for each one of these pieces, and this is a craft stacks container. I love these because they stack just like this. And I prepare them, I keep my adhesives in them, and I prepare different die cuts and stuff for live streams in them. And I love that they stack and they've got lids, so it really makes it fun and easy to work with, okay? So we're gonna go in here and pull out all of these pieces. And I'm gonna show you how to add some shading and dimension using our blending brushes. So we're gonna go in with our small ink blending brushes. I'm so excited to have these finally in this small size. I can't reiterate it enough because for things like this, a small blending brush is perfect. So for the Mylar balloons, I cut the larger one out in a darker ink or a darker cardstock color. And I cut the lighter color out with that inside piece. So it's gonna give it some dimension already. Let me show you. So if we put this together, it looks something like that. Pretty cool, but a little bit flat. So I go in with my my small blending brushes, and I'm just going to bring this right around the edge with a little bit of that color. So a little color that's darker than the cardstock, just a little bit. So here I'm using some slippery and wet ink. And this is Spellbinders Colorwheel cardstock. I love their Colorwheel cardstock, mainly because it is, honestly, if you want to get to $150 at Spellbinders, check out their Colorwheel cardstock. It is so good because it's nice and thick and it's smooth, and they've got some really great colors. It's solid core, super thick and smooth, so it's great for die cutting. And honestly, it's all that I use for die cutting right now. So definitely check that out if you need to reach your price limit. That is a good one to spend it on. Okay, then let me go in and wipe that off, and I'll do the same thing with these other 2 balloons as well. So for this one, I'm gonna use a little bit of Clear Skies ink. Just take a little bit on our small blending brush, and just going around the edges. We're not going into the center. So that's why these small ones are nice to have, because you can stay in certain areas and not do the whole thing at once. And then last but not least, we will go in and do Let's do a little bit of prom queen around the edge. And we'll do that for the heart balloon. Just like this. So go around the edge and add a little bit of blending and shading. How fun is that? Okay. Now let me show you how easy these guys are to put together. It really is super simple. All you do is take a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm gonna go in and just add some glue all over the back of this. And then we will pop this right up on top of our balloon, center it on there, and this gives you that really great 3D effect to our balloons. We'll do the same thing with this one. Add a little bit of liquid glue all around the back, and then adhere it right down onto the balloon, and it gives you that great 3D effect. So you saw them earlier, and now look. Now they look completely rounded and dimensional and 3D, and that a little bit of ink on your blending brush will go a really long way. Let me just tell you, I can't resist adding ink to all my projects because it just makes your stuff look so great and 3D for your cards. Fun and easy, and a great way to get a 3D look for all of your balloons on your project. Okay, now before we add these down to any card, I want to work on our background. And for our background of our card, it's going to be pretty simple, but we're going to use a brand new die set that I really have fallen in love with over the past couple of days, and that is this awesome set. This one is called the Color Block Arches, I believe. I got them linked down below, hopefully, I think. I'll show you how they work together beautifully. So we're going to grab this third color block arch in the set, and then we will go in and grab one of these. I believe it's this one. Yep, that lines up with this set. So to cut out the top piece, I'm going to actually cut out a background that I've already started, and I'll show you how I did this in just a second. So I'll show you, but I'm gonna just cut this out first, just like this. And we will run this through the die cutting machine. So this one is the top piece that I'm using for my color block arches set. So we'll run this through. Yes, Joanne says, I love these arches. Yes, they are amazing, I know. They're so cool. Spellbinders just knocks it out of the park with some of their products. They're amazing. So look, this creates kind of a gear looking texture on the background. It's kind of cool as is, but we're gonna show you how this steps up by using it with the essential arches, okay? So next I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna make this really pop by using this amazing chromatic reserve cardstock, that chunky glitter stock with the platinum color. This is gonna be super cool. I can't wait for you guys to see this. Oh my gosh, like look at this stuff. And the texture on it is so cool. The glitter doesn't fall off on your hands, but look, it's like insane. I've never seen something like it. And by the way, again, if you missed it at the beginning, use my link down below that says you can get the chromatic reserve cardstock for free with a $25 purchase at Brutus Monroe. There is no coupon code. You just use that link down below. And once you add $25 to your cart, this should pop in your cart for free automatically. So you should see it there before you check out. So definitely take advantage of that as well. I love getting you guys these freebies and talking to my friends behind the scenes and getting you guys free product when you're shopping. Because, you know, if you're already shopping, which is how I look at it, you might as well get something for free while you're there. Okay, so let's run this through my Platinum 6. And it makes a little noise as it's cutting. It's a little bit thicker than regular cardstock, so you probably couldn't do super detailed die cutting with it. But look, it cuts that arch out absolutely no problem. And then you could, of course, if you did this more centered correctly, you could use this actual window on your card too. I know the paper is so cool, right? Okay, so let me go in and show you how to put these arches together. So again, this was with the color block arches and this was the essential arches die set. So you do need both to work together, but this essential arches has been out for a while. So I love that they kind of revisit die sets and create things to work with them. So all you need to do now is take a little bit of our liquid glue, and you just want to make sure to add liquid glue to each area of, like each little spoke of this. You don't want them to not be adhered down. So I just go through and I just touch each little area with a little bit of liquid glue. Then all I do is take my cardstock, just line it up on a flat surface like this, and it should line up all around the edges, just like that. How beautiful is that? I love it. And to do this was so simple. All we did was just glue those arches together. And look, now you've got that like glitter cardstock all over the edge, and it matches the embossing that we did. So let me explain what I did on this stamped panel now. So for this stamped panel, all I did was take one of my background stamps. This background stamp is called Postal Collage. And look just how awesome this stamp is. It is a collage of a bunch of postage, symbols, and cancellations, and stars, and numbers, and text all over the background. We just released this. It's amazing. And I think you guys are loving it because it's been flying off the shelves. And the thing I love about it so much is I struggle with mixed media personally. A lot of times I don't know where to like stamp little things and make it look good. So this one's already done for you. So you can use it on a background and you've already got what looks like a super great mixed media collage. And you didn't really have to do any of the work, which I love, okay? So this looks awesome. I take it and I just use parts and pieces of the stamp and presses it in different areas like this. You don't have to use the whole stamp if you don't want to. And I just pressed it in different areas, like I said, and then I heat embossed it with some silver heat embossing, and you get this amazing effect. I'm in love with that. Now, before I adhere this together, I actually meant to do some inking on this, but I didn't. So let me do that right now, okay? Because I think I want a little bit of inking on it, right? So for this inking, I'm gonna let's just do a little bit of clear skies. I think that'll look really good on here. So I'm gonna use my small ink blending brush, and I'm just going to bring in a little bit of ink blending all over the background to give it a little bit of extra color and dimension. So we'll start off pretty light-handed just by adding a little bit of blue kind of around the edge of our card, just like this. We just want kind of the look of like a sky or like a light colored background. And I'm leaving the center lighter naturally because it will draw your eye to the focal point, which is usually in the center of the card. By making the outside edges darker and leaving the area lighter in the center, it naturally wants your eye to draw to the center of that card, which I love doing that. It gives it kind of a really nice finished look. And then let's say we want more of a mixed media effect. I linked down some of my stencils down below because I love my new launch of stencils. I think they're really pretty, and I think I'm going to use these Happy Arches stencils. So what's awesome about these layering stencil sets, we have Happy Arches, Star Tile, and Trellis. It has one full stencil with the full design on it, and then it also has two layering stencils. So if you use these together, you can create that two-toned effect that's on the back of the packaging, just like that. But I also wanted one stencil, just like this, so that if you wanted to use the full design with ink or paste through it, you totally can. So it's got all three, so you get different versions of it in one pack, which I love. Okay, then I'm gonna take that same color and go just a little bit heavier handed, and I'm just gonna blend this design in some areas where that stamped background isn't as heavy. Okay, and whenever I'm stenciling, especially like this Happy Arches stencil, I'm gonna go in with my small blending brush and I'm just going to follow the grain of the stencil. Like you would with following the grain of cutting wood, right? You want to follow the grain of the stencil. Because this stencil is a little bit more delicate and dainty, the design is going this way, so that's the way we want to easily blend this. It's not gonna fall apart if you don't go this way, but you'll kind of feel it pulling at your stencil a little bit, and it kind of just wants you to go in that direction naturally. So that's why I say follow the grain, and it will help. All right, that is so pretty. A really fun background that's kind of giving mixed media, and it looks really great with the embossing that we have going on there. So it gives it kind of this layered effect. We just want to build up some different layers before we add our balloons down as the final detail. Now also, our inks react with water. So I'm going to go in with my mister and I'm just going to spray down a little bit of water, and look, that water reacts and it's going to give this kind of bleaching effect. Do you see that? It almost looks like watercolor in there. Do you see all that little bleaching? So you could leave it if you want it to just be completely solid, but I love that bleached watercolor look. I think it's so cool, and it just adds a little bit more texture and dimension to our background if you want to. So we'll go in and we'll heat set this just to make sure that that water is nice and dry on our surface before we move on to our next step, which is going to be adhering our whole card together. Nice and easily. Okay. That is perfect. That looks great. Now I'm gonna go in with my card base, and I'm just going to take this stark white card base and crease it down. Just like that. And then we'll go in and adhere this down. And for this, I actually want this to be popped up off the card. So I'm gonna use some of our clear foam tape again. Like I said, I have an addiction to this stuff lately. I'm like just so excited that I can finally show you guys it, because I've known about this stuff for a while and I've been waiting to use it. So I'm always glad when I can finally have new tools and stuff that I've been dying to share with you to play. So we'll go in and adhere this down. Let's get every last drop of it off the roll there. And then I always keep it inside of this Spellbinders craft stacks, just because the edges are kind of sticky and you don't want them to get dusty. You want it to stay nice and clear. So I like this container because it keeps 2 rolls at once, but you could also use a Tupperware or something to keep it nice and fresh. And if you want my advice, to remove the backings really easily, you just want to actually press it down into your cardstock fully. And that helps just making sure it's nice and stuck so that the backer is easy to pull off without the tape coming with it. That's my biggest tip I can give you. Make sure it's nice and pressed down fully, and then the backings come off with ease, okay? Super fast, just like that. All right, then we will go in, make sure the fold is going the right way. I've done that one too many times. And then we will go in and adhere this right down onto our card project. And then we'll adhere it down. Just like that. This is the new Simon Hurley clear foam tape. Like I said at the top of the live stream, this stuff's amazing. It almost blends in with your background. You barely see it underneath there, but it pops things up. It's like magic. This stuff has been selling out fast. My boss just added the last of the stock that we have for now. We're gonna restock it in hopefully a month or so to the Ranger website, so check that out. Stephanie says, will the foam tape come out in wider sizes? That is up to you guys. The fate of products are always in your hands, not necessarily mine. While I would love to keep everything or make a million different versions of things, it's up to you. If Ranger sees that there's enough demand for a wider foam tape, they will definitely allow me to make it, maybe even a thicker foam tape if you want that as well. So definitely, if you keep showing with the purchases and the numbers that you love the foam tape, we will be able to make more. I can promise you guys that. But my word only goes so far, okay? So it needs to be shown with your guys' actions. That's always what I'm told in these meetings. So just to let you know. All right, now let's go in and do the balloons. So I think maybe I'll just do these 2. That fits well, because like, do I want to do a third? Probably not, right? Or do I? That's kind of cool. I like that. It kind of makes it a 3D design to have those hanging off the edge rather than not hanging off the edge. So I'm going to adhere these down with a little bit of liquid glue because we want them to be pretty flat on our design. So I like to lay things down first just to make sure that they are perfect before I adhere everything down. And I just pull it up off the card, and then I can sneak it back in and adhere it down. So then for this, we want this balloon to be the spinny part. I think that is gonna be so cool. So I'm going to adhere this spinner down right onto the center of the card, just like that, with a little bit of glue. And then we'll go in with a little bit of liquid glue on top of it, and we will place this down with our finger and hold it in place for it to dry. And then we want some balloon strings. So we are going to go in with our balloon strings, and I just cut this out of some holographic cardstock. So you can find this at Brutus Monroe too if you're shopping for that Glitterstock. And I'm gonna go in with a little bit of liquid glue to adhere that down. So we will put this string right down. And then we'll also go in with, should we do other strings behind it? Coming from the other balloons, just like that. And we'll make it like overlap each other like this, kind of going down right into the center. Oh, you guys want some thicker foam tape and some wider foam tape, right? I see lots of you guys. Terry says, I just ordered some foam tape. Jean says, let the purchase commencing. I like this thought you guys are putting out. All right, then I want the strings to kind of hang off the edge too. So I'm gonna cut them all off at the bottom of the card here. And we will just let those strings kind of hang, which I think is fun. It gives it a nice 3D look. I like when the things, like if you have a border like this, I do love when stuff hangs off the edge. So like those strings hanging off the edge and like these balloons hanging off the top just gives it like a 3D kind of look. And I know it's kind of weird that the balloon is spinning like this because the bottom of the balloon doesn't always reach the string, but who cares? Like I said, it's just card making and it's just a fun little like movement effect that you can give your card, right? Not everything has to be super realistic. Now, I do want to say these balloons also have these really fun little tie strings, and I just need to add this down to this one. So we will go in with a little bit of liquid glue and give this little guy a tie at the bottom of his balloon. And that will just dry and hang on there so that when it spins, it's got a little string attached to the bottom of it. That is so fun. So this is kind of its natural resting place, and then you can spin it around on the card. And again, that is so easy with just that little spinning mechanism. Let's use this set called Birthday Party, because I know there's some good scripty sentiments in here that I think match that style of the balloon really well. So there's Make a Wish, Happy Birthday. I mean, that's just classic. I'm gonna just do Happy Birthday. I love this font in this set. This set's fun, it's called Birthday Party. If you don't have it, it's a really fun one. It's got the solid and the outline versions, and all these are like one-line illustrations. They're so cool and unique. I need to use this set more. Remind me, guys. I'm gonna do a live stream hopefully with this set soon because I love it. All right, are there dies for these sentiments? Oh, there are. We included dies. Okay, let's do it. So, do you see, because there was a lot of open area inside, that's why we were able to fit a lot of these dies in. So again, let you in on a little secret, but that's why some sets have the sentiments and some don't. And again, I'm gonna use that Stellar ink in the Black Widow color because this is really fine, again, and because that ink pad is foam, you wanna do super light taps to get that ink out, stamp it down, look perfect every time. I love that Stellar ink in the Black Widow color. Line it up with an even white border all the way around the sentiment. And then we will go in and die cut it out. And for this, I'm gonna use my little black platinum Scout machine. I love this little guy. They are going to probably retire it after you guys sell it out. I know it's down to like 100 or less of these little machines. So if you've wanted a little black platinum Scout, I recommend getting it now. Because once it's gone, it is gone, but it is a nice sleek little machine. I'm gonna keep using it forever just because it's so small, it fits on my desk, so I love that. So it's really easy for smaller die cuts like this, for your everyday die cutting, because you can have it on your desk and not have to move everything off. Well, thank you so much, Stella. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. That is so kind of you. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go in and cut that little sentiment out. I love that. And then we're going to adhere this right down at the bottom of our card. Don't be afraid with this clear foam tape. You can take it and cut it down. Now you just do want to be aware that the clear foam tape does pick up fingerprints. So as you're doing this, just don't try to touch it a ton and get your fingerprints on it, but you can still cut it down to thinner strips to fit down behind your sentiment. And the awesome part is even if this is right up against the edge, like it is, like you see there, you're not gonna be able to see that because it's that transparent look. So that's why I love this for little sentiments too, especially little sentiments or little images, because that is really where you want that not to be able to see. So that's where that invisibility really comes in handy. I love it. And again, that foam tape is incredible because look, it almost looks blue. It like blends in with that background. You're barely able to see it when it's all adhered down, and that stuff is nice and stuck down too. It's got a really strong adhesive on the back of it. Okay, so thank you guys. So that looks absolutely amazing. Here is a look at that finished card. I'm obsessed with it. So using that background with the essential arches and the color block arches, and then going in with the Postal Collage background stamp and doing a little bit of fun blending and shading with the arches stencil to give some texture and dimension to this background. And then of course using the Mylar Balloons Die Set to create this really fun spinning balloon on our birthday card. I absolutely love that front and center. And then of course, if you guys want to take advantage of the deals right now. So the deals for this would be that Mylar balloons you get for free with an $150 purchase at Spellbinders using the code SimonBirthday and my link down below. When that's in your cart, you'll know you have it. And then you can also get that really great color of that chunky glitter stock from Brutus Monroe. down below using my link. If you add $25 to your cart, it will automatically show that you get that chunky glitter stock for free. So love that for you guys. So many deals tonight to take advantage of with a lot of the products that I used. Super excited about that. So there is our birthday card using that really great Nano spinner, and also that really fun butterfly card that we created earlier with that spinner on it as well. I love that faded diamond stamp and that technique that we were able to create with the masking and doing a bunch of colorful blending and finishing it off with that great blooming butterflies set. All right, well, thank you guys for stopping by tonight. I really appreciate hanging out with you. It's been so much fun sitting down and chatting and crafting. I also think you guys are probably gonna sell out that clear foam tape pretty soon, and I think we gotta get back to the drawing board and create some more widths and sizes for you because you've been showing it so much love. So take advantage of all of the deals and discounts that I have going on right now using the links down below to check them out. They're only going until Friday for the Spellbinders deal and Saturday for that Brutus Monroe deal, so take advantage of it while you can. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys soon for another card making and crafting live stream. Have a great night, guys. Bye.